Hey, we are live with the Call to Action podcast, episode 40. We are here right before Houston, guys. We are so excited. We got a couple quick matches to talk about. We got a lot of drama to talk about before tomorrow's big event. We are going to lose our minds, and it's going to tear the whole Army apart. Speaking of the Army, I have many good family members here with us today. Can I get a shout out to Melissa, who's also co-hosting with me today? Melissa?
Hey guys, I am here really excited to talk about Houston and some of this other stuff that's happened this week, but mainly Houston. And then Alex is with us too.
What up? All day, every day. I'm here.
We live it. We breathe it. We're here until 11 o'clock to midnight. We're going to be podcasting into the day of Houston because we are the hardest working podcast group here on this side of the Schmoedown field. Today, we are talking about Smets and Navarro first and foremost, covering the matches from this past week before we get into our Houston event talk. Smets and Navarro, so I'll go ahead and humbly plug that we have a interview video right now with Kevin Smets that is currently cycling around, and he was fantastic.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
We asked him all the questions and all the questions in and out of the video. We got a humble shout out from Melissa. He is single, ladies. Keep in mind for that. But we're not here to talk about Smets' dating life just yet. Stay tuned. That's a separate episode. But we are going to talk about this match, Smets versus Navarro, the longly built-up match. Since Smets has come into the league, he's been calling Navarro out and saying, give me Navarro, and he gets him. Ladies, what do you think of the match?
Yeah. Woof. I don't know what else to say. I mean, like, going into it, no one, honest to God, no one expected Smets was gonna lose. Everyone thought it was a given. I mean, when Navarro's been stepped away for quite some time, and he just said flat out, I mean, the reason why he left is, like, you know, he kind of achieved everything he wanted to, but on top of that, you know, he just had some other things going on, so his priorities needed to shift, you know, so he just stepped away, understandably, absolutely. But also when he was involved in the league, even when he was a belt holder and he defended, you know, once or twice, you know, the league, especially in our geekdom in particular, was a totally different crew.
It was like 4 people. It was literally maybe like Hector and Robert Meyer Burnett for what felt like the first couple seasons, really. I don't know. I know there were other players. Like, I think Inman was around during that time period, or did he get in a little bit after that? Yeah, there were some players there, but really it was Navarro and Robert Meyer Burnett. And I like that you mentioned that Navarro accomplished what he wanted to do. And I don't even think that's getting a title. I think it's just beating Robert Meyer Burnett twice. And
exactly. But let's be honest, doesn't everyone just really want to beat Robert Meyer Burnett twice? Isn't that everyone's just life's goals?
Yeah.
I think so. I want to beat him one day. Who knows? Give me time.
I would like to hug him. I think he's very cute.
He's a handsome guy, right?
He is.
He is a handsome guy. I'm not gonna lie.
That charisma is what carries me through and through, though. And we're not talking. Why is this the call to the Call to Production podcast? We're your hosts. We're talking about.
We just like straight up looking for dates. That's it. What's up, Robert? Hey. Hit us up.
I'm big on R&B right now just because he watched the latest Godzilla film and he's been just praising it really well. I don't know if that's a mix of like I just really want it to be good or I'm just stoked that Robert Meyer Burnett is like plugging it, but either way I'm really stoked about that. But that's not the point of this. This isn't this isn't the dating game of the show, but you can tell we are doing a late night podcast because here's the script and here's us.
Just to let you know, considering it's a late night script, I actually have this holding up my laptop.
Oh god.
It's still on my desk from when I was watching the Smets Navarro match. And because Smets and I, we chat all the time because we're both like fans and patrons of, you know, the Action Army and everything. And, you know, I was just like flat out, I don't know what to do with myself. I can't watch a Smets match without alcohol. But luckily, I found my brother, and he said, and I quote, "Atta girl." So it's still here on my desk in the meantime since watching it the other day.
Oh man, this just makes me so excited for Houston, but I can't spoil our appetite yet. All right, so Smets Navarro. All right, so going into the match, as far as the details go, Navarro doesn't do half bad. I mean, the first round he holds up fairly well with Smets throughout that whole period.
Does he really?
I mean, hey, let's give credit where credit due. Former champ. It was champs. Whenever the league was much different, when there was more than. When there's more than 2 or 3 players of the same caliber, sure. But going into it, Navarro does pretty well in the first round. And then Smets even said in round 2, when he spins opponent's choice, that he kind of shoots himself in the foot because before the match, and he gave us this little insight beforehand, he's looking at the wheel and then he just says, who said it? And just kind of like nods that that's like something he's not great at. And we can't blame him. In Inner Geekdom, who said it is a pretty rough topic because literally all the hero lines are kind of generic if you just don't have a context.
100%. Yes.
Right. He gets that. Then he fucking crushes it.
I know. I was so proud. I'm not gonna lie. I was so excited.
To be fair, they were pretty easy quotes, I thought. So
there were some softballs in there for sure. I would agree.
Okay, as someone that doesn't watch like Star Trek or Star Wars or anything all that much, to me, like I wouldn't know any of them personally. But I mean, I can definitely understand for someone that, you know, even if they're like if they're casually involved in the movies, you know, they can be easier. But like, honest to God, I've only seen Iron Man 3 maybe twice.
I can't blame you on that one. Like, it's a good movie, but...
And Iron Man 2, I've probably seen twice again, you know, but that's on me.
I feel like I've seen that Whiplash scene with him talking to that bird like 100 times, though. I don't get it. Like, I know we watched that movie once or twice.
I like the Sam Rockwell scenes where he's with, and this is the ex-wife. That was a great scene.
Is Sam Rockwell's character in Iron Man 2 not just very an Action Army fan, like, embodied? Or am I imagining that? Like, just that cocky, like, go fuck yourself.
Oh my gosh. We need to make an entire episode of that.
Can we get Sam Rockwell on the show?
Oh my gosh, we need to totally do an Action Army inspired characters.
Yes.
Let's do that. Melissa, how would you feel about that?
I would feel okay. Can we get Matt Nost if we can't get Sam Rockwell and just pretend?
That's...
Yeah, they're the same people.
It's pretty interchangeable. Nobody would notice the difference.
Separated birth, that's just a fact. That's the way it is.
He's been around Roka long enough that I think probably the cockiness has rubbed off on him at some point.
Right. I think the real struggle is, which is harder, getting Roka's former teammate onto the Call to Action podcast show or getting famous actor Sam Rockwell onto the Call to Action podcast
Oscar winning.
Oscar winning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Answer in the comments below, guys. Who do you think would be the harder pull for the Call to Action podcast?
Honest to God.
I want to get Roka on here and just see how it goes.
Curiosity.
Right.
Just roast him. The roast of John Roka.
I mean, he would have to know what he's signing up for. But speaking of signing up for, Navarro signed up for more than he could chew, and this Navarro.
Oh, look at that! Well done.
And we're back.
Sure.
But all right. So Navarro takes all the way in, and Navarro's round 2. I want to briefly touch on that real quick. I kind of forget how much I miss Navarro. Like, Navarro as a character is very enjoyable. Like, him on screen. It was really, really funny, just answering the questions and then getting them wrong. And then he would sit here and he'd be like, no, but I thought it was this. Is my nerd card still intact? And like, Navarro is a charming dude.
Yeah.
He's
definitely on social media. He's definitely one of my favorite people that I follow.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and 90% of the time I agree with him, regardless of what the topic is, to be honest. But, I digress. It's kind of sucks for a former champion to fall so easily and so quickly. Considering I understand it wasn't a KO, but at the same time, he didn't exactly go out. He went out pretty easy, I want to say. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
yeah, I mean, like, Smets, he definitely got ahead very fast. Navarro he did okay in the first round. In the second round, he did, and I mean, Smets,
He
he
got
also
tanked in the
made
second round.
several steals. He made 2 steals.
Right.
So, it was kind of like pretty darn obvious. It's just not the same.
Doesn't make it to the third round. Smets with probably one of my favorite outros out of a match ever. Like, just give me Kalinowski. Pieces out.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
He had told us about that beforehand. That's a spoiler behind the scenes look with all the credibility as us as the media that we get these inside scoops.
I know.
And he told us about that beforehand, and then I was watching the episode, just waiting for it. So fucking good. Oh god, just crush. Give me Kalinowski, and I'm just like, bro, Kalinowski's sweating. Like, he's sweating. You know he
I don't know about that.
But listen,
I don't know about sweating. I think I don't know about sweating.
I'm
We'll see. Well, so we can definitely dedicate something just to that, like some of our predictions. I don't know about sweating. I feel like he's, and I don't know about intimidated, but curious.
If I'm gonna temper my expectations, I'd go as far as to say that he knows he's got a challenge ahead. Like, this isn't going to be,
but sweating.
Look at how much momentum.
He's like really intimidated and he's terrified.
Listen, Kalinowski is like one of the goats of inner geekdom.
Absolutely. And when he's intimidated or when he sweats, a lot of those situations that he's come up, he does very well.
He does
very well under pressure. I mean, he did lose against Kuching and Mara, but
on last point
that's
questions,
a whole different. They were always like neck and neck. They were like 1 point apart.
Yeah, so like make no mistake. I'm not saying that like Smets is going to steamroll over Kalinowski. Like, Kalinowski's damn good. As we've seen earlier this year with just in general with Kalinowski and Intergeekdom.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, he hasn't played an Intergeekdom match since he's lost the title to Cushing. And Smets has a shit ton of momentum on his case. He is going 3 matches in a row, off a former champion, off of Jay, and off of oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Who he debuted against?
I don't know his name.
Oh god,
I think.
Yeah. But who also had an awesome match coming into it too. But he just went up against Smets and crushed it. And at this point, we've heard some of Smets' studying styles, and I don't know, maybe just because we've got the interview and that talk with him far enough. But like, I think I'm leaning Smets on this one, and I don't say that lightly because Kalinowski.
Well, also on that side, we don't know the study style of Kalinowski, who's been so in depth, and this is something he's been actively pursuing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's been doing it longer. I mean, let's face it, he has a lot more questions under his belt. He has a lot more strategy involved under his belt. He knows how to use those JTEs and the challenges much more efficiently just from personal use, from experience.
Right. I would say he definitely keeps a cooler head in the matches as well. This is something that we've seen, if we're going to point out weaknesses for Smets, that even in this match, there are times where it's very quick to the button answers. And while I think that's great if he's absolutely sure he knows it,
that's a problem, though.
Right. That is a thing that where you can sit there and you think you know it, and then you misheard it. And that's something he mentioned before. Even in the interview, he mentions that in the Marvel match, he misses a question because he hears what's the opening song to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume. And then he doesn't even hear the Volume 2. He just hears Guardians of the Galaxy, spits out that answer. So I think that's something that really Smets needs to work on, is making sure he takes his time. And I say that because me and James on a separate reaction thing, I don't remember if we even recorded it or not, but we sat there and played along to it. And Smets makes it so damn hard to play along with him because he's just spitting out answers before the questions even get out. And I'm like, well, Smets, I need 10 seconds to figure out this question before I get it wrong. Give me that time, Smets. And he doesn't give me that.
Exactly. Hey, Melissa, did you have any thoughts like towards the end of the match? And did you think it was like pretty obvious that Smets was gonna win? Did you think it like?
I feel like
in particular.
Yeah, I feel like it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. There was nothing that surprised me about the match at all. So, other than the only thing I like kind of at the end was just like Hector just like getting the pity applause from the audience, and Ellis giving him like the most pitiful like compliments, and Hector's just like, just stop. Like, this is worse than like yeah. I was like, oh, poor Hector. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for Smets. I do think I'm with Dylan. I think I favor Smets only because here's the one factor that I have is Smets has the hunger, and Kalinowski has already had that. And while he may have the hunger to get it again, he doesn't have like that like hunger that someone who's never gotten a belt. Right. And I think like if they're this about like this even, I think that drive could be like what puts Smets over the top.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Strategy side as well. Kalinowski is pretty good with steering into the heel curve and doing, just the small mind games with him and corruption as a whole. But we've seen that Smets doesn't play that. Like that's one of his biggest strengths, is that one of the things that we've talked about in detail on the heel and the face thing, and Smets really isn't really either. He just goes in there and he plays. He's not playing the politics. He's not going to get engaged in that, and that's something that would 100%. Definitely be in Kalinowski's favor if he played along. But if Smets just sits there and doesn't just says nope, sticking to the questions.
For sure. I mean, and there's nothing more. I mean, I feel like we can say on the topic aside from, like what's next, honestly. Right. I mean, obviously he is definitely, he's like a new kind of player that has, whereas a lot of singles players, singles and teams, they are really having, obviously at the beginning of the year, they really started having an introduction of these new fan league developed players, and the Intergeekdom League hasn't had that yet until Smets.
Mm-hmm.
So, him really blowing everyone out of the water, it's not surprising, honestly, considering how, like, he was, I think, wasn't he undefeated or almost undefeated?
Smets in the fan leagues?
Yes.
However,
I thought it was Oyama was the one that had never lost.
Yeah, Oyama hadn't been defeated in the family.
You're right. Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
He didn't really talk about it, right?
Confused. But regardless, again, he's just on a different level in terms of, how he's training, how active he's involved with it, what he does specifically to prepare. He's watched all these matches. So he knows what kind of questions they're going to ask and everything. And he loves to just hang out and watch matches, even if he's not participating.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely actively involved with it, for sure. So him getting to very close to the belt is not surprising in the least to me.
Right.
Now, on that note, whereas Navarro, he was he wasn't KO'd, but he was almost pretty darn KO'd, almost, considering, Fife. Woo!
With Smets and Navarro kind of coming to a fizzling end, and that climax is there, we're ready to see Smets transition up. You mentioned earlier, what's next? And speaking of what's next for corruption, we got Chance Ellison playing Emma Fife, and probably one of the more one-sided matches we've seen of the year. I won't lie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Aside from, remember, the Winston match.
Well, that wasn't even one-sided. That was both just that was two-sided.
That was a match.
Still one of my favorite matches.
Really uncomfortable, almost.
Criminally underrated match.
That Mance match. I don't remember who it was against. That Mance match where neither.
It was Mance and Garber in corruption.
No. It wasn't during the Anarchy. It was like years ago. Where Mance and one other player, they were playing, and neither one of them got above 8 points.
Was it Hal?
Throughout the entire.
Was it Hal Rudnick? I can't remember. I know that Mance Rudnick was.
Yeah.
I just remember watching it because I discovered that match a lot later on, and I remember, and I was like, oh, a match I haven't seen, and I just didn't look at the date, and I was like, oh shit.
Oh, this is rough. And speaking of rough, this is what reminds me of the Chance and Emma match. And you know what? Going on in, the biggest thing I can sit here and say is this match went exactly how everybody thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. I'm not going to sit here.
I disagree.
Really?
I disagree.
Hit me with
Explain.
it. Controversial.
I think most people thought it was going to be a straight KO, like much earlier.
That's fair.
Okay.
I think most people thought Chance was going to run the table, steal a bunch of hers, and it would be like the worst KO you've seen in the league ever.
Right.
So the fact that it was not that bad is
okay.
I'll give you that. I think a lot of people probably saw it to the extreme. I think for me, or rather, this went exactly how I thought my expectations were going to go with it. Emma's not a bad competitor. I mean, let's get first things first. Emma's defeated all the managers in the Manager Bowls, twice now?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, sure. Listen, is that the biggest achievement?
Low bar.
Is that the biggest
Low
achievement?
bar.
Low bar.
Yeah.
But
Who else is on there? Dagnino.
Christian, former double champion, tag champ, and singles champ. Like, not a slouch. All right, if nothing else, he beat Christian. If we take aside all the other managers, she beat Christian in a singles match. I'll give her that. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was retired pretty much. So
right.
I don't know who you're fooling when you say that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Emma's a strong competitor, like the strongest competitor or anything like that. I mean, I kind of expect her to go to round 3, and she actually did. I mean, I didn't expect her to win because, again, she's not a continual competitor. She's doing every other thing but competing in the Schmoedown. So, I mean, it is what it is. And it's kind of a touch on base. She posted some comments on Twitter, kind of even lining up with that, saying that, thank you for not, burning me at the cross for not sitting here and being better at movie trivia on Twitter. I appreciate it. Melissa, what did you think? What did you think on the comments on that match?
Well, okay, so the thing I take issue with is, actually, I found her self-awareness pretty refreshing. Like in the beginning of the match, where she was like, "I'm probably gonna lose," and then during the match, she even said I clearly don't watch movies, and I was like, "Oh, that's a very refreshing look at yourself." And then after the match, she's just like, I'm just so busy. I don't have time to be doing blah, blah, blah. And the thing I take issue with that is you think Dan Murrell's not busy? You think our guys aren't super busy? These are people who have day jobs too. These are people who are super busy too.
But the difference is, someone like Darren Murrell, his job is a movie critic. Emma Five, she's not. She's a commentator, but she's not a movie critic. She's been very vocal about she does interviews and stuff and she does, matches and conventions and stuff like that. But she's not sent, she's not sent press stuff involving John Wick.
She's not it's not the media.
You for a lot, but I mean, she's not going to be getting a bunch of memorabilia or anything all that much.
And even her niche itself is in the geekdom stuff. So the stuff that she is going to know is going to be inner geekdom.
Yeah, it's very focused on inner geekdom.
It'd be Marvel, it'd be DC, it'd be anime stuff. I've seen her on a bunch of separate shows and podcasts before where she's talking about explaining anime for people who've never watched it or whatever, which are fantastic, by the way. Yeah. Even though the stuff that she is going to know is going to be just stuff that she personally enjoys watching or just geekdom stuff, which there wasn't a whole lot in this match. So we can kind of see how that score ended up the way it did. But I agree with you, Melissa. I respected that honesty, just open up front, just be we know what this is. There was no kayfabe in this match for Emma in this one too. It's just I'm not going to come in here and crush Chance. This is what it is.
It's just not her priority, I guess. Yeah. It's all good. I mean, we don't want it to be her party, but let's be honest.
If she won, we're all Emma against Oyama? Is that what we're next match? Okay. Let's be honest. Right. Side note, she crushes that leather outfit, by the way. That's not an easy task. I know. I've gotten into leather. It's fucking terrible. That looks chunky. 10 out of 10. Props to her for that.
Ooh, I agree. 100%. That's intense shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she works it, and she looks good. Absolutely. Yeah. Ellis, Chance, he did, I feel he
Perfect.
He's pretty great. I mean, like the first round, there was like a handful of them where it took me a minute, but there wasn't any particular questions I felt like were difficult. Personally, I got like as someone that's like a casual moviegoer, I had a 5 or 6 out of the 8, and I was and the only one of the only ones I got wrong was like he's just not that into you, and I'm like, damn, motherfucker.
That was a few weird ones. I only got from like age. I was just like, what movie have I not heard about in a while that I don't feel like they've talked about? That is, I'm like, is it 10? It's not the 10 Things I Hate About You, because I feel like I saw that recently with on Twitter, and I'm like,
that's just like it's an ensemble movie. It's just easy to forget about some side characters.
Mm-hmm.
You can remember, sure, Scarlett Johansson, but Jennifer Connelly, who's also in the movie.
Mm-hmm. More importantly in the movie.
Yeah, off topic. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing more to. I mean, from me, anything. I don't feel like there was anything more to say. I mean, like it went exactly as we thought.
Yeah, I think that. But before we get into the post credit scene, we finally have a build up that they have Chance versus Oyama finally plugged, and we'll go ahead and kind of briefly touch on that. Who do we think we got in that match? Oyama v Chance.
Melissa, what do you think?
I am taking Oyama. I don't know why. I just am. I will say I feel like I don't know if I just now realize this, but I feel like they really missed an opportunity to call Chance the Cobra KOBRA. Like why? Like that just seems so obvious now. Like why? I don't know. I was like,
can we retcon that?
I feel like they should. Right? I feel like it makes so much sense. But yeah, I think I have Oyama. I have no real reason why, but I think I'm taking him.
Oyama is a strong Action Army dude. We see him in chats and stuff like that.
Indiana. Maybe that's why I'm taking him.
Indiana, he's fairly local. He is probably a big fan of hashtag Nashville Schmoedown Nashville. Plug it now. Because it's only within 2 states away from him, so that's probably chances all the way in Arizona, which I will be in not doing anything for Schmoedown as far as I know. I might hang out with Danny or something like that. But anybody in Arizona, if you're watching, we can do a live meetup. I have nothing better to do. I'm doing business there.
How long are you there for?
I'm there for like 5 days. I will be there from the 29th.
Let's do this meetup with our boy Nat.
Oh yeah, I think we're gonna try to go watch Godzilla, because 2 Asian men going and watch a Godzilla film isn't the most cliche thing that we could have done that time.
I mean that's why I was telling Lucas the other day. I was like, there's a handful of things. Today I almost went to we went to almost see the Parabellum, John Wick Parabellum.
Watch it tomorrow.
And I want to see it so bad, but the game 4 of the Blues was playing, so versus the Sharks. So we were like,
I still go for Parabellum, but also I'm not too big into sports, so that's one of my things.
Hockey, yeah.
Hockey. Sorry, I'm a Preds fan. So, again, Preds, which you can catch in Nashville. Hashtag Schmoedown Nashville. So,
live.
Yeah, we'll talk more on Oyama v Chance whenever that comes up. Whatever. Like this isn't their episode. This episode is back to our boys. The thing we've been waiting to talk about all night. What is my hair doing right here? Side note. Let me get that. Okay.
I want to interject one thing. Just one thing.
You got it.
Okay. Yes. So 3 things I noticed from this match, and I think it's a sign.
Mm-hmm.
1, Sam saying commissioning.
Mm-hmm.
You guys catch that?
Yeah.
2, and this is like an ongoing thing that I love, but Mark Ellis, every time he says Schmoedown, his southern accent just like sneaks right in. Like Schmoedown. And then at the end of the match, Kidnap Zoc clutching his southern pearls as he was ranting in the post interview.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So those 3 add to Schmoedown Nashville.
Yep. The southern influences are here. It's coming, guys. It has to.
It will happen.
It's
destiny. It's gonna happen.
We see Schmoedown Atlanta. It's Schmoedown Nashville, but also for Atlanta because the tickets are really cheap to get down there. It's like a 10-minute flight from Nashville. which I can fly from, but just go to Schmoedown Nashville instead. Schmoedown Nashville, everybody. The #1 for the Call to Action podcast.
Okay, moving on. Sorry to interrupt the.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the post-credit scene yet, though, have we?
We sure haven't. Speaking of going south, and before we even touch on the Houston, we have our boy Andrew Guy, the dastardly one, talking to some mystery woman figure offset, saying, "Well, brilliant idea. That's genuinely a good idea." And they engage in a very friendly hug.
No, he doesn't say brilliant. He says beautiful.
Beautiful idea. That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not revealed who it is, intentionally so. Even if you frame by frame it and you see red hair, I'm pretty sure it looks like Grace Hancock, but that makes no sense. What's a speculation on this scene? What do we think about this one?
Melissa, you saw it.
Yeah, I think Dylan and I kind of agree on this. We are thinking it is Grace. That's what I saw. I thought it was Grace. Just kind of like the way she moved. Like it was red hair. It could have been like a blondish red hair, meaning it could have been Roxy, but just like in the way she moved, it just like it didn't seem like Roxy to me. So I thought it was Grace. Dylan kind of did like the slow-mo, like frame by frame. But the only thing that we're kind of like not understanding is Grace makes absolutely no sense. The family and corruption have absolutely no rivalry with each other. Mm-hmm. Corruption is already a full stable. The family just is established. There would be no reason for these like two paths to meet. So I think we're kind of a little confused. If it is Grace, what is the play? It seems very confusing.
Even as well.
Though, honestly, if Grace decides, I don't think so. But if hypothetically Grace, obviously, she is very much the mastermind, behind corruption. Obviously, I think she's definitely the mastermind behind the corruption team. But if she decides, hey, I want to jump ship because I see more potential in taking on more of a leadership role with the family, that would be not only a dick move, but damn.
It'd be interesting, but then
it would be like a weird move, but who knows? It's just an angle that we just don't know.
I hate to say it, it's just like, what does Grace bring to the family? Like, there's already plenty of mouthpieces and speakers, and that's not short of Grace. Grace is great. But one thing that kind of makes me think, even if we're ruling out Grace, but I'll stick on that one. So the scene itself is intentionally hiding the person they're talking to, and it makes no sense for it to be Roxy, because why would they hide Roxy? Like, it's already kind of transparent that like she's pro-guy, she's been tweeting it, she's been doing this. So for the scene to not show the girl that he's talking to does lead you to make you think that it's not Roxy. And then frame by frame, I think it's a redhead, and it was kind of wearing a ring that Grace is wearing in the post-credit scene. So it does make me say, I'm like, okay, what the hell does Grace do with the family then? And I legitimately don't know. Normally this is a good reaction commentary, but I got nothing.
The thing I kind of noticed was just like the context of the scene. It made it seem like Drew was sort of the grateful one, and like whoever this mystery woman was, she was the one doing a favor or bringing some sort of idea to the table. And it was like Drew was not the influencer. It was whoever this other person was the influencer, and Drew was on the receiving end of it. So that the context of it kind of just really makes me wonder, like, even if it is Grace and like if she's trying to infiltrate the family, how is she using Drew to facilitate that? It's very, very curious.
If that's the case, honestly, do you feel like we would see potentially this mystery woman over in Houston, or do you feel like it's too early? We're gonna wait to have her hyped up a bit more.
Yeah, it feels like that would have to be either there's an immediate payoff in Houston tomorrow, which there's just kind of so much going on with Houston, which is the match, the live event in itself.
Exactly.
I think that's a little too much. Unless there's something like post-credit scene, then we'd see right away. But if we don't get that revealed at Houston tomorrow at the live event, then it has to just be like this new ongoing mystery thing, which is kind of the Schmoedowns thing. I feel like recently we've been like the Magic season has been a mystery season. Like it's been Stacey's partner for a long time, and then it was
exactly.
I don't know. There was other stuff. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was just Stacey's partner. But whatever. Another mystery right after that one gets revealed. Like, welcome to the mystery.
Right. Christian likes mysteries for the Schmoedown and his plot lines.
Right.
Surprise.
So yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting one. We didn't really get enough to even speculate on it, and I kind of hate that because I'm like, guys, we have a reaction podcast here. What
but
are
it's
we
the
talking
first
about?
one. We'll see.
It's the first one so far. So we will see where that goes. But speaking of Andrew Guy, speaking of the South, speaking of Houston, that matches tomorrow. Civil War collides. Schmoedown Nashville.
I just woke up my cat.
Oh
God, that look he gave me.
All right, for one more time, because I love checking in because our thoughts just keep switching from time to time. But okay, not really switching, but it gets more intense. There's been a lot of Twitter beef between Ben and Guy on this whole trip here. That's been delightful. If you're not looking at Twitter, go at Ben Bateman and at Andrew Guy. Put my plugs in early because that is spicy, just beef right there.
Did you say it's spicy?
Spicy, yes. If I'm reading that, I'm like, ooh, it tingles. There's a lot of build up to this match already, guys. I mean, but between the storyline stuff, they did the recent the Rise and Fall of Team Action video on Collider with Christian Napsok plugging that. That was a great video, great tense match. Like just them sitting there and they want to be casual, but you can tell there's just like, oh, they're really shit talking each other on this one. Like this is only so much kayfabe. Like
Andrew's doing a lot.
Yeah, Andrew's really in that.
Especially in their recent episode with Christian Harloff for the Action Guys.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good. Just kind of recapping their history together as a team. But how did they get together? How did they, both as a team get involved in the Schmoedown and everything? Hello, look at this.
Yeah. Definitely a great video. If you haven't caught it, it is a fantastic one. I highly encourage you to watch it before the live event.
So good.
So good. Really puts it in perspective. The shit talk is out of this world, and that is what we all want. That's the only thing that makes us a winner. And as an Action Army, is that the level of shit talk in this match is going to be off the charts, and I cannot wait.
Absolutely. It really does kind of make me sad though, because this has been such a hyped up match for, I don't even know how long now. And yeah, I mean, for a long while. I mean, not only that, because Drew and Ben, they're very vocal on social media with each other. They do host other podcasts and stuff together as well. It's something that has been talked about constantly, or at least very consistently, for the past several months. So it finally coming to a close, it makes me sad, just because I love all this hype and I love it's, being like, hashtag team, team, not team Ben, Jesus, fuck that.
Team table.
Almost said it. No, blasphemy. No. But, Team Drew and, Justice for Action Army and everything. It's been really wonderful to be part of this community that's really backing Drew up 100%. We're there representing, we're there voicing our support, and it's just cry-worthy that, again, Ben has everything to lose. Drew has nothing to lose. And so
I've never had a match where the result.
And to quote James, I feel like I'm watching our dads divorcing.
Yeah, this is strangely on the nose with that one, but it is. I mean, it really is. It is one of those things where we're sitting here and there's no winner in the match for us. There's no loser in the match. If and when Ben loses to Guy, because Guy is God. He's out of the singles tournament. That's a losing streak all season, which sucks because at the end of the day, like that Ben, like even if we hate Ben for being a traitor, he's still my number 2 favorite player right now. I'm like, all right, I like Ben more as a traitor than I still like most other competitors. Maybe Clark Wolfenstein. I do love Clark.
Yeah.
Ben's like number 3 right now. But yeah, that's so hard. Guy, but I want Guy to kill the bear. Like Guy even said whenever he was playing Merle, they were just like, he's like, I'm gonna kill the bear. I'm gonna kill the bear, and I want him to go in there with Ben and like. I don't know. I just don't know. It's
what my heart wants and what my head wants are 2 very different things.
Agreed. I'm just gonna get hammered on Fireball, watch the match, possibly live react to that. Stay tuned.
Oh yeah, I'll keep my Kraken here on the desk in the meantime.
Taking shots, just crying.
No, I won't be taking shots. I'll be just flat out just drinking from the bottle. I'll just cry into the bottle and drink my tears along with the alcohol.
So as the resident call to action person who is hashtag Team Bateman.
Hashtag Team Loser?
Yes.
You could probably
Team Traitor.
So here's my theory. My theory is that Ben is the Severus Snape, that he is taking on he's infiltrating the 5 horsemen to tear them apart from the inside, and he is taking on this monumental traitor's role.
I hope so.
And then they'll reunite. And so really, if that's the case, then really Ben is a hero. Really, if you think about it, Ben is the hero that we never knew, the hero that we needed but did not deserve.
If right.
Love it.
While that is my favorite,
no.
That is my favorite speculation for Ben, and I really hope that does. Even if we all know it's coming, because that's been the biggest speculation since there was even an article written on it months ago. Even if that is the case, which I would love, 100%. It's at the end, both of them laughing, and he's back full heel, starts the next season, just right into it. That'd be great. But we don't know that yet, and until it is,
I do. In my heart, I know.
Yeah, but it's one of the hardest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not trying to bust your chops or anything. It's I don't think, to be honest, I don't think Christian plans that far ahead. I mean, I know he does. Obviously, he plans very far. He does think matches ahead and everything. But at the same time, I feel like that might be too big of a story or a plot.
It is very dependent on how Ben's matches go, because
I
mean, so far ahead knowing.
That requires certain wins and very specific clauses.
Although
that would require him to lose all these matches, which would make sense, honestly.
It does kind of line up if we sit here and say that if Christian says no matter what, wins or loses, that's going to just be the overall arcing story for Ben. And I think we're going to find out really soon at Houston if there's going to be a horseman reveal for Ben to be in it, win or lose on this match. It's going to be in Houston. It's a live event. Roka's there.
I feel like if my theory were to come true, I feel like he would have been in the Horseman already. I feel like he should have already been in it by now, and the fact that he hasn't, and then it's been dragged out so long, kind of leaves me to think that maybe it's not going to happen, but I still hope.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair,
right there with you. I would love that.
To be fair, what the fuck the Horsemen been doing this season? Not the founding fathers, whatever. They're still doing okay in tag. Obviously they have a tag match on Houston. But other than just talking about putting Ben in there, they haven't really been doing anything.
No. Well, they talked about it, and then that's been how long ago?
Right. It's been a hot minute ago since they've been talked about having Ben in there. And it's just been jokes and stuff since then. And part of me wonders if this storyline isn't pending. I don't think
wins.
Yeah, not even just on who wins. I think part of it, and I don't think Christian's going to be the kind of person who just looks at how the fans are reacting and says, I'm going to change my storyline based on just how they're reacting. I think even if the fans hated it, he'd probably commit to it. As long as the match is allowed for it and everything, of course. But I mean, it is one of those things where it's all right, break up the Horsemen. Everybody's just like, cool, what's different? It's the heel league now. Like, there's no really.
Honest to God, I honestly don't want the Horsemen. I feel like they've been a thing for so long now. The 4 Horsemen, the 5 Horsemen now, and now
it's like the 3 Horsemen now.
3 Horsemen, yeah. Thanks for correcting me. It's just, and I really don't want it. I mean, like, but then again, I don't feel like they would disband the Horsemen just because, they currently already have a belt holder, as that's actively part of the team and everything. So I don't think that would ever happen. But, I mean, they've been a team forever, essentially, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's kind of time for the faction to essentially retire, to be honest.
So what I would envision is, and what I envision is that Dan talks Roka into allowing Ben into the Horsemen. And I think Dan would become the de facto leader of the Horsemen, which would eventually push out Roka, who is the founding member of the Horsemen.
Is it even the Horsemen anymore?
And then really you have Dan and Riley and Ben, and are they really Horsemen, or are they just kind of their own I think at that point it becomes it's not even the Horsemen anymore. Kind of like Fight Club isn't Fight Club anymore. It's really just different people and different, right. And I kind of envision Horsemen, once Roka is kind of pushed out, then yeah, that's my thought process on how it would happen, would be that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that storylines are how many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man? We gotta get you out, Roka.
That's all we really want. We just want more matches of Roka be taught lessons, honestly.
Yep. Ain't that the truth?
Or just one match of Roka riding off into the sunset and be done with the league.
Ooh. Before we start speaking of being done, and if that's coming to its wrap as well, I'm killing it on transitions tonight. Humble brag. As we start to wrap up, let's talk really quickly on this. Obviously, we already kind of picked our teams for it right now. I'll be Team Ben and Team Guy various times throughout the match. I'm gonna flip flop just every other question probably. But when. If and wins. If Ben wins, who do we think Guy is? Who do you think he's going to pair up against Guy in a single match? Everybody says Merle. Everybody says title shot Merle right off the bat. But here's the thing, though. So I think in the Rise and Fall of Team Action 1, they announced that the winner of Ben and Drew would play the winner of Mike and Janine. So,
really?
Yeah, which is interesting because they said, okay, well, Ben gets to pick Drew's next opponent. So unless he just says you can play the winner of Janine and Mike, which seems silly.
It seems odd that they would spoil that too, ahead of, yeah.
And obviously that was meant to be in there because it's buffing up the stakes for Houston. So on one side we have, no matter what, I guess we're getting whoever wins that match will play off against the winner of Mike and Janine. And then separate from all of that, we have a stipulation match where that just happens. Now, if we're taking Merle out of it, we take the Merle title shot because that's one we all actually really want, which would be sweet. He just goes in, for whatever reason, gets a title shot on top of all of it, and then beats Merle again. And then Guy is champion. All hail. If it's not that, who do we want to see?
Bibbs. Let me kind of explain for this one. Honestly, Bibbs is a completely different kind of character, obviously. But as far as I can remember, they've never played against each other.
Nope.
But also on top of that, they're completely different in their approach to obviously not only training, but their approaches to matches. Bibbs, he's probably gonna want to be like, hey, I know everyone hates you, but I'll try not to. What's up? And Drew's going to be like, what the fuck is this guy?
Bibbs will
Who are you?
Bibbs will try his best to try to defuse the character of Guy, but the thing is, we've seen
Exactly.
get
And I
rattled.
would love to see that happen.
Mhm.
I would love to see anyone try to be like, Drew, you don't have to act this way. You know, it's just me. Like, you don't need to put up this facade. And Drew's like, what the fuck?
I take it back. They did play very briefly whenever they were in Free for All for the one round.
Okay, that doesn't count though.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Very
literally faced everyone.
And we get Bibbs played everybody that whole time. But we did get a sneak peek and kind of what that was like. And like even Bibbs was just like, yeah, this is what getting correct answers is like and shit like that. So Bibbs is kind of heel whenever he plays Guy, which either way that match plays out, I do really like that idea on seeing Bibbs and Guy. And I think that if and when if Guy played Bibbs and then beats him, because the mind games are very real there. Like Bibbs was sweating it in the match with Who's the Boss whenever it was in the Anarchy match. Because in that tournament, like Ben even just threw a couple jabs out, and he mentioned behind the scenes and during the match that like you could kind of see that Bibbs was a little flustered in that one.
Yeah,
so,
he's not used to going up against heel.
Right, and especially that character heel too.
Yes, character heels, especially. You know, dealing with someone like
Roca.
Roca. Well, he is. I mean, he's not a heel anymore. He's a face now.
Right.
He hasn't faced, and as a result, just hasn't faced this kind of new, kind of like intense heel character.
Right. So, even in matches, Roca's pretty respectful too.
Yeah, but just how Merle didn't expect it. He's also former belt champion and everything, and he currently is. But at the same time, you know, he didn't do well under pressure from someone like him, using that psychological warfare right off the bat, you know, in social media. And I mean, he put his feet on the desk. I mean,
just kicked it.
So good. Yeah. And someone like Bibbs, I don't know if he is ready for that. He did a little bit up against Ben, but Ben isn't as nearly as hardcore, obviously. So,
Melissa, what do you think? Who would you want to see Guy face if it gets paired up against anybody?
I really, honestly, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but the Bibbs suggestion. So here's my thought. Would be, okay, they offer a match between Drew and Bibbs to Bibbs, who agrees to it because it's a win that Bibbs can get in order to get back into title contention, right? But then Bibbs has a number one contender shot that he can really just give to anybody. So, quid pro quo, he could give it to Team Action to have a number one contender spot as a doubles team. And they're like all playing each other like backdoor. Like, I don't know. Like, I would like Andrew versus Bibbs if there was some sort of like backdoor deals going on. That
like a stipulation match in some way, right?
Right. But other than that, there's just like no one off the top of my head that like I would want to see him get, honestly. And the thing is, if he gives him Merle has a title shot. So, I mean, I feel like he's going to have to play Merle twice. If he plays Merle, he's going to end up having to play Merle twice because Merle's going to cash in his title, like his rematch.
I can't see Merle wanting to play Guy twice after the first match with him. Just like,
well,
I'll wait for him to lose the match and then I'll take off whoever left. I don't want to deal with this.
I need to train for a few months or something.
Right.
I need to go to therapy.
All right, I'm gonna take you guys on this one, this little ride. And I think we're thinking way too high up the ladder. Let's switch it. Let's go a little bit lower down on the ladder on the simplest one. We'll do Guy versus Oyama. We'll have season. All right, bear with me because I know it's not as interesting. Whatever. All right, stick with me.
I see it.
So, we got partial heel against full heel. We have new blood coming in against, which is strange to think that Guy is now like kind of like the old. He's not really the old dog because that's to say that he's getting put out, which is not. We have this young up and comer, and we see that. There's the potential for good shit talk. I think Oyama still has a lot to show in character. And I think this would be a great opportunity to sit there and like let that reflect off, even though he's going to look way worse in comparison to Guy. I think it opens the door for it. And on paper, that's just a good technical match. I think that's a really interesting one to see how it plays out. That'd be one to good to see if like Oyama beats Chance and then it's Chance v Guy or something like that into like a #1 contender match or something like that. I don't know. I think that'd be interesting. It's not the biggest match. It's not the hypest match. I want Dan Burrell for the title. Give me that instead. I really like Bibbs' opinion as well. I think that'd be sweet, but I don't know. Those are just kind of my thoughts. Fans, watchers, what do you guys think in the comments below? Give us who do we want to see in that match.
Please, we would love that. I'm always curious of what other fans think.
I know we don't
like we're very action focused, you know, being part of the Action Army. So I'm kind of curious of what other matches, you know, other fans from other fan groups and everything they would love to see.
Right.
You know? So
I agree. We don't plug enough fan questions in our videos anyway. So in the comments below, feel free to give us your thoughts on that. Who would you want to see?
And like and subscribe.
Yeah, and like and subscribe. And do all that sweet stuff. Share the video. Make it more aware. We're getting a lot of fame here recently, and we're doing our best not to burn it up. Stay tuned for Houston. We will burn up all of that good fame because that is going to be a very vulgar reaction. But as we start to wrap up this and going into Houston, it is 12:09 my time. It is the day of the Houston event as of right now. So we will go ahead and wrap up this video. Melissa.
Ready.
Melissa, you want to go ahead and plug us? Where can we find you at?
You can find me on Facebook on the Movie Trivia Schmoedown page and the Action Army Schmoedown page. You cannot find me on any other social media. However, you can find me representing the Call to Action podcast by swiping right on Tinder and Bumble. So yeah, just be on the lookout.
Alex, where can they find you at?
I run the Call to Action Twitter podcast thing. So please hop on that shit. This one. That's this one. I run that bitch. So please, you know, follow us, retweet. I would really, really appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram at Mac_Midori. You can find me there if you're looking for a bunch of stuff about skin because I'm an esthetician. So, but yeah, I mean, please check out Twitter. I'm all about that shit all day, every day.
And you can catch me, Dylan Camacho, at CAMACH Octopus on Twitter. That's Camacho Octopus. Don't try to pronounce that aloud. It's going to get really bad. Pretty active and just watching the Ben and Guy stuff right now. Speaking of, you can also catch at Ben Bateman Media and at Andrew Guy on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They have obviously the Action Army fan page, the Movie Trivia Schmoedown fan page, the Action Army Patreon, Action Industries. We are action everywhere, guys. Make sure to check those out. We do appreciate that. Obviously, the Call to Action podcast.
International.
Yep, all of it, all of that good. You can also catch me on the Schmoedown Facebook page, the Action Army Facebook page, the Patreon, all the action places. Any place there is action, Dylan Camacho is there. And just kind of all over the place. Yes. You can catch me not at Houston, but I will be reacting to it tomorrow, and a very emotional thing, as we all will be. I cannot wait to see how that match goes, and I can't wait to see how everybody else feels about it as well.
And I might legit cry. I might, honestly, God, cry.
She'll probably cry.
I might cry. I am very emotionally attached to my characters. I, honestly, God, almost cried. I literally was like, nope, not today, Satan. Not today. When I was watching Mark Knopik win the IG match. It's same for Cushing. I was like, I don't know. I was like, no, they worked so hard. They've been training for so long.
It's going to be ugly crying across the board, guys. There's no shame in it. You can yell. You can cry. But we're all going to watch a good match. And until next time.
That's what it does. So.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of this episode. We'll see you after Houston, and we'll see how all that goes. Have a good one. Peace.
Au revoir.
Bye.